Okay, senior woodworkers, this week's lesson is a little bit different. I have put together a little video to talk you through the stuff, so rather than relying you reading through the notes and then answering questions, because I don't think everybody's actually reading the notes as such when they're trying to answer the questions, you watch the video. This piece of information here I'm going to give to you as well. This is the backup, so this does have all the information, so it's sort of the stuff you would use when you're doing your revision. So we're going to look at the wood joints. It's not something that was answered greatly in the exam. We could do a lot better on it. So using this resource and my video resource to answer the questions which are assigned at the end of it, then hopefully it will improve your ability to be able to recognise and sort of come up with solutions in the exam paper. It's still important that you do well in the exam, and you will be another exam set for you before the end of the session. You also need to obviously recognise your wood joints as you're doing them through your final project, because we can't give you that solution to everything. You know, the basis is that you have done enough work during the year to recognise from the working drawings, this is the kind of wood joint I need to do, and apply that knowledge as you go forward, creating each of the different elements of the final project. So we'll start with Carcass. I'll take you through the video with Carcass joints, and then I'm going to discuss frame joints. There will be some things which I might say in those videos which might not be explicit in here, or you'd have to read through all 6 pages to get the exact thing. So do listen, watch and listen. There is stuff to be learned. You know, I'm not talking about the joints for ages and ages. It's just very, very short, descriptive, like we would do in the classroom if we were talking about it in that situation there. Okay, so the first joint we come to is the butt joint. This is probably the easiest one to do. We just join the 2 pieces of wood together. It's not a very strong joint though, so it's not something we use very often. Very, very weak, and we'd use our PVA glue obviously down the edges and a sash clamp to join that together. So again, we're looking here to make something like a drawer. To make it stronger, we could add dowel to it, and again, this time we would take maybe 1 or 2 dowels to strengthen the joint. Now the dowel itself, we obviously drill at both ends, so we need to be accurate with our drilling to make it fit together to get the angles correct. So there's a bit of an art in that itself. The other thing with the dowel is when we glue it together, like we're pushing it together there just now, sometimes it can become difficult to actually do that. So we'll cut a slot down the dowel itself, and what this does is, as you squeeze it together, it allows the glue to move up that slot and prevent any air, which kind of blocks the thing joining together. So it's just to let the glue slide up that slot that we've cut. So the dowel joint, again, it's not something that we use very often because the accuracy is required. Our housing joints, so this is where, if you look in the top left, we see it's like a bookcase. So this is like putting a shelf in. So the joint is cut all the way through, and with a joint like this with the through housing, we'll see the end of the grain at this end here, and we'll see the joint that's being cut. So you need to be really neat and tidy with your cut there. To stop that and make it a bit neater, we would use a stopped housing. So you can see this time we're not going all the way through the wood, we are leaving a little gap here so that when we bring this part in, that we'll end up with a nice neat finish and it looks like a natural piece of wood. This is the preferred option. You would choose it because it's neater and tidier. Okay, so moving on, rebate joint. So a rebate is when we're only actually removing the material from one piece of the wood. So we're joining 2 pieces together, but one side is actually cut. Normally we go half the depth of the edge of the wood, or we could maybe go 1/3, but the drawing will tell you how much. It really depends on the product and what's actually being generated. So again, all we're doing is bringing our material in and creating it. So again, you need to be pretty accurate along the edge of the material there with the rebate joint. We could cut it with a rebate plane depending on the kind of wood. So again, that's another tool that we could use in the manufacture of that product.